Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. We did it. We freaking did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I feel good. Welcome back to the scene of the crime, the fisheye crime, one of the most disastrous contamination issues that any painter can face. I've got to say, I'm humbled once again. These are issues I had when I was painting in my parents' garage, and I felt a flashback to about 15 years ago. And I'm like, you know what? This is a great opportunity to learn with my fellow Paint Society subscribers. So I want to thank you all because you guys have left numerous amounts of comments, and not one comment was not in line with what could have caused the fish eye issue. So today in this episode, we're going to explore and change everything around, and we're going to attempt to repaint this and see how it comes out. And if you're new to this channel, this is our Corvette C5 project. We've been working on in our home garage for over a year, doing small do-it-yourself projects, priming, sanding, and doing a lot of reviews to get your project done in your own workspace. Now, when it came to painting, well, we did find ourselves in a little bit of a pickle because we had a lot of contamination issues. Now, I was bragging in the last video about how great my compressor and air filtration system was, but you're gonna find out in a little bit, it wasn't really as good as I thought. I wanna thank each and every one of the comments because the comments were very valid, and we're gonna go over some of those comments now and what the people said and if it could have actually caused all of that contamination issue. Now, one of the main things that I did think it could have been is when the car sits, and it's been sitting in the booth like this since this is a brand new booth, all of the flat surfaces had fisheyes on them. None of the doors on the side or side panels below midline had any fisheyes or contamination. So possibly maybe something from the spray booth, some release agent someone said could have possibly, gotten onto the surface. Although it was cleaned very well, who knows? That could also be another issue. Now, another issue that people said it could have been is not allowing the paint to dry enough and not being in a normal paint booth like I usually am. I'm usually allowing that paint to flash, but within about 10 minutes, it's ready to go because it's moving air at a much quicker rate. Obviously, in an inflatable booth or any non-booth, the paint's going to take a little bit longer to dry. So in this episode, when we go to paint this, we're going to allow those coats to really flash off. Some were saying that you might not have fish eyes, but you might have some sort of contamination issue as far as, moving into your next coats too soon. Now, one thing I will say is I don't even think these were like regular fish eyes. These were craters. These went down to the base coat. These were very, very bad. Now, sometimes what happens is you do not see these fish eyes until it's time to clear. Figures, right? The last part, you think everything's going well, and then, all disaster breaks loose. These were so bad, they could not be touched up, guys. I had to spend a good amount of time using a 320 grit to get these completely down. Thank God for my 3M extract sander. It picked up all the dust, so we were able to keep the car right where it was, and we were able to sand down all of the panels with a 320 grit, and then we went over it again with a 400 grit. And let me tell you, there was no possible way to fix this paint job. I didn't even show you the worst of it because I had actually seen a run later on midway through the door once I was trying to really fill in those fish eyes. But what a humbling experience, and that is why we are here right now, because we're going to solve all those issues, or at least attempt to figure out what is going on. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with our air compressor system. We're going to start at the origin of the compressor system. We're going to do a little bit of maintenance and then move on to making some changes with our air filtration system. So let's get into it. So we got our compressor components ready that we're going to change out. Now this actually might help out a little bit. So from what I understand, the scroll compressors, they work really well, and it worked really well while I was painting. I didn't have any pressure drops. Now with the cover off, I gotta say I really like it with the cover on, but it's super cool to see the inner workings of the actual machine. Now, we're gonna be draining the oil today and replacing the moisture separator and also the oil filter as well. Now, this comes with a moisture separator, which is pretty cool, but the problem is sometimes it gets really caught up with moisture. And Eastwood came out with this fix. It allows you to drain any water that gets into the oil tank first by initially releasing this valve and allowing any water to come out first and then stopping it once you start to see the oil. Now this would bolt right up into here, and you would lose having the cover on unless you rigged it and cut a hole on the side. Now, I will say first on the channel that Eastwood will be coming out with a prototype as of now. I will be receiving. It is going to be a fixed line into here and will be available soon that you'll be able to use on your actual QST, and all the new versions will come with it, where it will automatically drain any of the moisture from here. It'll be a tube that will come out, and you can still use the cover if you're lucky enough to have the cover. However, the new units will not come with the cover. Just a little bit too many issues when talking to Eastwood with these actual covers themselves, and basically all because of shipping and damage. So now, just for reference, this is the old and that is the new. So you can see, I mean, I feel good that we're actually doing this oil change just based off of that alone. So guys, change oil. Now that we're all drained, we'll go ahead and add our oil. This is the QST oil. The other oil coming out of it, the old stuff, it just looked a little bit dirty. And after we added more oil, on camera it might be hard to tell, but it's just about up to this area. So we are good to go in regards to that. So let's complete the rest of the maintenance here. Next up is getting these replaced. Now, they're saying that these guys are on pretty tight. And this guy right here, this is a moisture trap or separator that's on a compressor, which is cool. I don't know if any other compressor has this. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if that was the thing. But I talked to Mark from Eastwood, and he says it's a good idea to change this at least 3 to 4 times a year. I mean, wow. Look at this right here, guys. This is got some corrosion right there. That's an indication of moisture. Really, really interesting. Okay. Get a little dirty rag here. And then this is a new one. You can see obviously that this one is brand new. And I'm not gonna tighten it with the pliers here. I'm just gonna give it a nice hand tight. And for the oil, put a little bit here. And once again, just hand tight. All right, I think that's gonna be good for here. And the air filter's here. I don't think it needs a change, but I'll change it anyway. This is the old one, this is a new one. I don't think it matters, but since we're kind of doing everything, it's good to know that you can replace the parts on your compressor this easy. Now I'll go ahead and fire it up and make sure that everything is A-okay. Fire this thing back up. Make sure nothing's leaking. Like I said, we'll revisit this area for the automatic drain later on. But for now, let's figure out how we're gonna change all this up. And next up, we're gonna be installing all of this filtration system. Now, I was telling you guys before in the last video, I was bragging. I'm like, I got the air dryer, I got this cool thing, right? Well, this only really cools the air. And then I'm like, I got the air filtration system right here, which I took off. Now, one of the guys commented, Ricardo, he actually won a last giveaway. So I was very thankful. He told me, hey, take a look inside and see if there's actually anything. There wasn't. This was actually being used as like a drip valve, I guess you could say. It did have some sort of sleeve in here. I don't even know if this is a filter. Maybe you guys can tell me. But this was in there as well. But it comes with an option, which I didn't even check, which I should have known. It comes with an option for desiccant beads that come in like a jar, and that definitely would have helped if that was the issue. If that was the issue. But I can guarantee you something. We're gonna completely eliminate any factor of oil with this filtration system. This was a pricey guy. This is around $675, all right? There's much cheaper options. I'm gonna link that in the description. You don't need to buy this, but I'm telling you, I didn't want to have any issues. I want to make sure I eliminate it. And then I got talking to Candyman again. He's like, listen, you don't want to contaminate your air dryer. Gotta put a filter before it. We'll go ahead and get that installed. All right, go around. This is actually not that hard. And that's two. All right. And that wasn't too bad. I got it all mounted up here. Now, this will be for my dedicated air hose that will go into the spray booth, and this will be for the hose reel. Now, obviously, that hose is gonna be too short now, so I ordered another one, and when that comes in, we'll just attach it into here. But we're good to go here. Hopefully with the 3-stage here, it says, at least on this first one, it says water separator. On the second one, it says oil separator, and then carbon filter. So 3-stage, pretty cool. A lot better than what we had. So let's go ahead and attack the pre-filter before the air dryer. And here's the final, guys. So I just took some clamps to mount it up, which is gonna work. So basically now what we've got here is we have a compressor making air and sending that air right into the air filtration, the first trap. That's gonna suck it dry, hopefully. Come back into the air dryer. That's gonna cool it off, right? It's gonna cool it off. It's further gonna travel, all right? It's gonna travel 30 feet up and down, all right? So it's gonna get even cooler. And then if there's anything left in that line, well, it's gonna reach this 3-stage oil filtration, water filtration, everything filtration setup. I'm praying this works, guys. I'm praying this works. I mean, because I went through a lot with this. And back in the booth, here is what it looks like after it's all been sanded down. Now, on the really bad burn-throughs, or the areas where I had to really get aggressive, I just used some UV primer. This is cured with the UV light. And we're gonna just go ahead and re-ground coat the whole thing. There's no point in trying to do the blue some areas and the black some areas. We got stuff everywhere. So let's just start from scratch and let's do that. So I'll finish up here with the small sanding. I'll wipe down the whole car. Now, one thing that you don't need to do if you use the right plastic is, you see this side out, that's special plastic. That means that it's not going to flake. It's gonna hold the paint. It's a treated side, okay? So it's not flaking, all right? So I wouldn't really recommend this more than once. I mean, if I have another failure here, I'm gonna just completely start over, remask it. And since we're that much closer to getting everything ready, I'm gonna really hold this air for about, I would say, a good 5 minutes. Let the compressor cycle a couple times. Try to move everything out, let it sit, come back and do it again. I wanna see if there's any sort of oil, water, anything making its way through here, or at least pushing the rest of it that could possibly been in a line, if that was the case, through the air hose and get rid of it completely. Well, I've been sitting here for 5 minutes, guys. Trigger fully compressed. I'm impressed. Nothing here. And I'm more impressed. Not 1 pound a drop from that compressor from holding it full trigger the whole entire time. It kept at the PSI that I had set it to. So very impressive compressor for that size. I think we're good. Let's finish it up with the cleaning. All right, now there's 2 different types of cleaners that we can use here, and we're supposed to use both. I like the glass cleaner. This is really gonna help get away fingerprints and different things like that. It's ammonia free, so no added scents or anything extra going onto the panel, leaving film. And then there is Prep-All Ultra Universal Surface Cleaner. This works as well for wax, grease, fingerprints, all that good stuff. I put this guy in here. You can use that, and then this right out of the can. Once again, Walmart. I got some more right over here. This is the best kept secret right now. You can get them on Amazon. I'll put a link, but they're cheaper at Walmart, guys. 15 bucks. You can't beat these. You throw them away when you're done, and you don't have to feel bad about it. So we'll go ahead and get this all cleaned up, and then we're ready to give this another go. Now you can see in the booth here, I put down brown paper instead of the white. This is that thicker construction style paper you get at Home Depot. And it's a little bit thicker and it holds it down. It doesn't flop as much. I got my air makeup pretty good. I have that filter closed off because I want everything to pool through here to create more suction. And a lot of you guys are saying, hey, that might be the issue of the air, you know, pushing through here. That might have been your issue introducing fisheyes. Possibly, but I really think it was the compressor over there, because we did a lot of work, and after my findings, I'm really hoping that that's going to be the difference maker. I also went ahead and put some paper around here. I saw some dust from sanding, so I masked off around this area. It's not a bad idea. Now, I like using the spray away glass cleaner, water-based cleaner first, because this stuff takes a little bit longer to dry, and when you go to do the other cleaner, the solvent-based, you have another go at it to get any water-based cleaner still in the crevices that has not been completely dried. So I just like to get this stuff on here and let it sit for a moment. And when it sits for a moment, what it does is it basically is bringing any of those contaminants to the surface. You don't want to just spray it and wipe it off. Let it kind of get into the panel a little bit, and then we're going to go back to the basics here. Try our best to wipe it off in one direction and not smear it all over. So if there's any contaminants, basically we're trying to wipe them off the panel. Now at this point, it's probably not a bad idea also, if this car was outside, to have cleaned this with Dawn Original dish soap. Original, not with any added scents. A lot of people in the comments, they're saying Dawn Original, and I agree 100% with you. That is a great way to really degrease your panels prior to it hitting the spray booth. See here, just let it sit for a couple minutes, and that's just a great, cheap, effective water-based cleaner. If you have been using this water-based cleaner, let me know. I know a lot of people don't know about it, but I also know a lot of people do know about this little secret of ours. Following up with the solvent-based, you got to put it into a pump sprayer. And no, you can't just go to your local hardware store and get the pump sprayer used for gardening. The solvents will eat the seals and everything alive. It will be leaking in a day. Okay, this was once by Iwata. This is a very, very, very good pump sprayer. It also is a little pricey, but I will tell you, you will go through pump sprayers left and right until you buy a quality one, and you'll end up paying the same amount of money. So some people like to put it on the microfiber first and then dry it. I just prefer to put it on there. And the reason why I like to do this is because, once again, it will lift any contaminants to the surface. All right, you put it on there wet, and then you wipe it off. This is also a good way to last minute check your body work. Make sure everything is good. If it's not good, pull it out. Now, if I don't get this paint job right on the second attempt here, it's my brother-in-law's car. He might end up leaving my sister. So I really got to get this thing all situated and take my time, because I really don't want that to happen. Look at that. That's what it's going to look like when it's painted. Can't it just look like that right now? Can't we just freeze it? Oh, it doesn't work like that, but we're going to make it work today. So far, so good. We're going to go through base real quick. I'm not going to show you too much about that because it's the same as last video, and usually in base, everything goes well. But we're going to go through that, and then we'll start to talk about clear when we get to that point, and because that's when the issues start to arise. But I did have a quick question for you. I couldn't find any information on this, on the air dryer. How soon do I put it on before I send air in there. Or if I'm gonna paint, let's say at 12 o'clock, do I put it on a half hour early? Do I put it on a few hours early? I paint in the garage maybe once a month, maybe. I just got the project going on now, so it's a little bit more frequent, but I turn it off when I'm done. So let me know, how does that work? Do you keep it on all the time if you're painting projects throughout the week, or do you turn it off? So far so good. Ground coat's drying pretty good. Everything looks pretty smooth. No fish eyes. Well, that doesn't really mean anything until the clear coat. Let's move into the base right now. Now here we are, one more coat I put on off camera, but before I did that, which I'm going to show you what I did, is I ended up sanding this down a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I used. I'm using a K600 hand pad. You can see it's got the blue on there from sanding, and I think I'm figuring out what's going on. I'm figuring out what's going on here. See here, after I applied that last coat, I don't see any fish eyes. I'm taking my time and not applying the paint as wet. I will tell you, the last time I did this whole situation from start to finish, from the base to the clear, it was maybe 40 minutes, not enough time. Now, I'm taking the whole day. I'm putting base down, I'm going inside, eating lunch. I'm putting base on, I'm going to do something else in the house. And I'm not putting it on as wet. When I put it on really, really wet, it fish-eyed everywhere. But just to show you what I did, is I went over it, and this is nice and dry. It's about 20 minutes dry. And you can use the water-based cleaner to help you out, like the spray away. Because you might find, look at this, like a little piece of hair right in here. All right? So you got to get that out, or at least sand it so it's smooth. And then when you put your base over it, it'll be nice again. So now, I think what I'm doing that's different from the last time is I'm being more observant. I have a bad tendency, guys, sometimes of looking at something and be like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Because sometimes, or usually it is. This wasn't okay. So I have to look at the paint and look at the base, because what we had before I did this step off camera of sanding this completely down and then applying it much lighter makes a big difference, okay? I honestly feel like we're not gonna fish eye here. Look at this, this is nice. Now this will take out any dirt too. So any last minute dirt that fell on here, we're gonna get it out and give it one nice last coat. And if there's anything in that base, then when we go to clear it, you'll see it, but we'll be able to polish it out and it will be fine. All right, I'm liking this. Come across the door. Like I said, the right here is fine. And I think I know why I got a lot of the fish eyes. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't the air compressor system, because I think it was. But if I had applied it drier, this paint, a little bit drier, because I'm used to applying it really wet in a real spray booth and it drying faster, then I feel like I could have eliminated some of those fish eyes, because on the top surfaces, I put it on much wetter than the side. But the little guy right there, we should be good here. I think we're good. We'll apply one more last coat, and then we're gonna wait some time and then clear this thing. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. And if you're wondering how we get it clean again, we just take a new rag, put a little bit of that spray away glass cleaner on there, and just run it over the panel. And that will get all the residue off. You could use a tack rag, But I like to reserve the tack rag for when you're just going over it right before paint. Keeps it cleaner. Pick up the majority of it with this. And here's how we're looking, guys. We've waited a long time. We gave it 45 minutes. All right, I had done the whole paint job on the last time in 45 minutes, and I can tell the difference. I can see how smooth it is. I can tell that this is gonna be a much better outcome, but I'm not gonna get all excited just yet. I need to wait a little bit, but I'm gonna change things up with the clear a little bit. I'm gonna make some modifications to the way that I apply the clear coat to try to make sure we don't have any fisheyes. And I also just got something in from Amazon that I was waiting on. I'm happy that it came in for the clear coat. And for our Segola, they came out with their own disposable cup system, and this is it. So that's really cool. We're going to be using it here on the Corvette when we go to clear. So it looks like it has that one hard cup right there, and then a collar similar to the original PPS 1.0, and then it will come with these little caps if you want to store or save your paint. And then also I got sent out the and there it is, loaded up. Segola, here we go. Let's get in the booth and put down that first special coat I'm going to talk to you about right now. So I got my tack rag. You see how clean it is. And I'm just going over the surface, and this is going to pick up any debris that might be on the surface or any minor overspray, so it's still pretty clean here. Now at this point, anything in the clear will have to get buffed, and we're hoping that we don't have a major disaster like we did in the first episode. We give this a nice little once over here. Now the first coat I put on is going to be different because I'm not going to go full wet, because sometimes when we go full wet, right, that's what sometimes the fisheyes can happen. Kind of similar to the base. So I'm going to put a really dry coat on. I'm not even going to consider this a coat. We're going to put 2 coats on. This is not even going to be considered a coat because it doesn't have enough mils. In case there's any sort of contamination on the surface, maybe it's just on the car. I don't know. We're looking good so far. Let's not mess this up, and let's go ahead and just put that on. You'll see how dry it is when it's done, and it'll be a much quicker coat than it is a regular traditional coat. And another goodie that just came in is the cartridges and the lens replacement. I just changed out the old one for my 3M mask. Now a lot of you guys have been getting on me, and you are 100% right. I do need to protect myself. I'm working on getting a air-fed fresh air or 3M VersaFlow, one of those guys. But for now, this is definitely going to help out in here because the air movement isn't as efficient as it would be in a spray booth. Now let me show you that first coat. And while I was changing out the mask there, I got about a good 10 minutes, and see how dry this is? This is on purpose. There's no gloss, but I'm creating a barrier between base and clear. I'm being very proactive just in case. And honestly, I'm really scared. That's the honest truth. I don't want to do this part again. But look at, guys, I don't see any fisheyes. This area is a little bit more shinier than the dry area here. And this is the really bad spot. But I see little bumps here and there from dry spray. Maybe a piece of dirt here and there. But I don't see an army of fisheyes. And I'm happy. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to give another 10 minutes. 20 minutes total on this very light clear coat, and then I'll start my first real coat of clear, a little bit heavier, a little bit shinier, and then we'll see what we're dealing with. But I'm liking it. That coat went down really nice, guys. I'm going to show you here in a moment. What I love about this, no overspray at all. It is really nice to be able to contain it, filter it, and exhaust it properly. Come over to this side, same situation. See how completely clear it is? I don't even smell any paint, okay? That makes me happy. That makes me really happy. What also makes me happy is I think we're getting out of this, guys. I think we're getting out of this. Let's go check it out. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. We did it. We freaking did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I feel good. Let's not mess this up. Let me give it another good 10-15 minutes. Let it tack up. Then I'm going to hit it up on a second coat, and then that's it. We're going to walk away. Whatever's left probably can be polished, no problem. Wow. And I had to make sure, guys. I came back after an hour and it's still looking good. We fixed the problem. Together, we fixed the problem. Check out the finish, guys. This thing is smooth. There's a couple, let's say 1 or 2 nibs here and there. A few along the top, tiny, tiny. It's no different than what I do in the spray booth at work. So anyone that was blaming the booth, it's not the booth. This thing looks good. Check it out. Check it out. Remember all the fisheyes here from the first episode when we went to go paint it? They're all gone. They're all gone. This is clean. This is smoking clean. Look at this. Super clean. I don't even know if I'll run a buffer over it. Maybe when we're all done with the project, we're going to determine what we want to do. But guys, there was fisheyes everywhere, riddled with fisheyes. Look at that. Now, I can't definitively say what it was, but what I can say is that the air system, for the most part, was the big factor. I do feel the way that I was spraying too wet and not allowing enough time to dry was also a big factor. But I feel like there was some sort of contamination in the line. And I mean, that's what it came down to. A lot of people would say, Brian, why don't you just use fisheye eliminator and just, you know, that would be it. And that's not the answer, that's a Band-Aid. You know, you ever try to fix a panel that's been painted with fisheye eliminator? All that is Armor All dumped into your clear coat, and it just goes over to fisheyes because it's all the same stuff. It's not fixing a problem, but we fixed the problem together. And here she is, guys, after it's all been unmasked, and guess what? It's back in our garage without the spray booth. Now, the spray booth, we do have some unconventional ways of getting it back wrapped up after it's been deflated. And let me tell you, deflating one of these paint booths is my least favorite thing to do. You'll never be able to get it back into the box, but you might be able to get it small enough so that you can get it back into the car. So in case you're ever in the middle of nowhere and you need to set up a spray booth, well, you can always carry it around with you. Now, as far as the vehicle is concerned, it came out really, really nice. You're only gonna have your small little dust nibs here and there, which are completely easy to buff out. Now, in full disclosure, when I pulled this out earlier, I noticed that the front fender was just a touch too light, and that's because I had painted at a different time and added too many coats onto the actual fender. So what I had done is I ended up taking it back off. I black based it right in this area, and then I went ahead with my 4 coats of base coat, or B621P, and that was the same technique that I had used in the same pattern that I used on the door and the rest of the quarter panel here. And then I used that to blend And that is why we have a much better match right now than we did before. So obviously you want to keep in mind when doing these things to keep the same consistent pattern, because if you don't on these colors, they will lighten or stay dark since it did have a black base originally. Now, where did our problems come from? Did they come from the air system? Did they come from the spraying? Did they come from the booth? Who knows? They could have come from anywhere, to be honest with you guys. And well, that is the beauty of it, because you guys helped me out with all of the issues I had. And look at the results. Because of you guys, this is the reason why we have such good results. Now, as far as the rest of the project is concerned, we have our quarter and our door still left, and we have our top piece. Now, we do want to integrate at some point our turbine system into the mix of this. Since this is a do-it-yourself friendly project, we want to explore all the different ways of spraying and prepping a car. But as for this video is concerned, we did solve the problem, and I'm really happy that you guys did come along with me when solving this problem, because this thing does look good. And every time I open a garage door and take a look at it, man, boy, am I happy. Guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. We'll see you guys on the next episode.